Hey everyone, today I've got 5 more amazing survivor builds for you. This first build I have for you is called the Apex MOLLUSC build. Now this build combines Tenacity, Unbreakable, the new Soul Guard perk from Cheryl Mason, and finally Inner Strength. Now the purpose of this build is to stop slugging primarily, and to make you more powerful when you've been downed. No more will you feel like you're powerless on the floor. With combination of Tenacity and Unbreakable, you're allowed to crawl whilst also recovering and at increased speeds. Not only this, but once you have fully recovered, you have Soul Guard to protect you, which is like a mini borrowed time for every time you recover from the dying state, meaning you can crawl away at increased speeds, recover quicker, and once you've gotten up, you're also protected by Soul Guard. So this is basically the perfect build for anti-slugging. That also doesn't require you to rely on your teammates to save you from the dying state. Finally, Inner Strength is there so you can heal yourself quickly once you've gotten out of the dying state. So this build is meant for situations where it may only be a few people left and you don't really have time to heal each other, so it's better to have a healing perk for yourself. So either Inner Strength or Self-Care work for this. I just say Inner Strength for here though, because I think it's slightly quicker, and it also encourages you closer to the end game to be getting rid of totems so that you can avoid stuff like Noed. The second build is called the Unlimited Speed build. Now, you don't actually get unlimited speed with this build, but you do get increased speed stats for every category. In this build we're also including Tenacity. Tenacity once again is the perk that allows you to crawl faster. I believe it's up to 50%. Second we have Urban Evasion. Urban Evasion allows you to crouch 100% faster. This is great for evasion and things like that. Pair this with Fixated, which is a Nancy Wheeler perk, which allows you to move 20% faster while walking. Pair these two together and you basically have an amazing evasion build, because it allows you to crouch and move when appropriate at an optimal speed without having to slow yourself down constantly. Finally we have Sprint Burst. Now I pick Sprint Burst because in every other category we can be walking or crouching the whole time, meaning we can easily save our sprint burst because we have increased crouching speed and walking speed, meaning we don't really need to be sprinting in between objectives. We can walk because we're just that little bit faster. This is even better because once the killer finally does find you, you can sprint off and get a good head start on them, and if you do end up going down, you still have the tenacity to maybe get away. Overall, this build is just for increasing your movement in every category. It can be pretty helpful. For our third build, we have the I don't want to heal build. This build is a build where you don't really want to be healing. This is because all of the perks center around being injured. So first off we have Iron Will. Iron Will negates your injured sounds and basically makes you kind of undetectable to the killer if they're listening out for sounds. As long as you've broken line of sight, you can use it to traverse around pretty silently and without being seen. We have Lucky Break in there, which is highly underrated. Lucky Break stops you from leaving blood trails for 180 seconds, which is 3 minutes. This may not sound like a lot, but it can be incredibly helpful, and paired with Iron Will, you're practically completely silent and you're not leaving any evidence behind aside from scratch marks. Alongside our second two perks, Resilience and This Is Not Happening, you become increasingly powerful when in an injured state. With Resilience, you're going to gain bonus percentage to repairing, healing, sabotage, unhooking, vaulting, cleansing, and gate opening, as well as chest searching actions. This Is Not Happening also makes skill checks bigger and great skill checks larger on generators, meaning in general every objective or part of your gameplay as a survivor is going to be improved and made easier with these two perks. Overall, this is a build that thrives on you being injured, and it can be a bit tricky because obviously that makes you a one-hit down, but if you manage to pull it off, it can actually be pretty effective. Build number 4 is the No One Left Behind build. As you can probably assume, the first perk in this build is No One Left Behind. This is a perk that reveals survivor auras to you once the exit gates have been opened, and it also gives you bonus blood points in altruistic categories. Additionally with this build we're running Hope. Hope is a perk that gives you a 6% increase to movement speed, or haste. This movement speed can be incredibly helpful in the endgame, especially if the killer ends up having Noed, because they get about the same bump in speed. meaning you're equaling the playing field if you're using Hope, because now their speed is effectively negated. Next we have Adrenaline, which is to help you out in the end game if you're in a tough spot and you're about to get caught. It can give you a boost in speed, or it can get you off the ground. It's just generally pretty helpful. Then we have Borrowed Time, which is for those tricky situations in the end game when you need to save someone, but it's going to be difficult because the killer's camping, as there's not much else they can do at that point. So this build is for the end game mainly, and it thrives really when you act in an altruistic way, as that's what all of these perks are really for. Now this build isn't going to make you unstoppable in the end game, but it's going to be pretty damn helpful, especially with features like the haste and being able to see where everyone is. You can really keep track of your team and make sure everyone's going to be getting out safely. Finally, our fifth build today is the Dead Silence build. Now, we start off this build with Quick and Quiet, which is the obvious perk when making a silent-based build. This perk allows you to be quiet when fast vaulting. What this does is it suppresses the noise where it would before make a loud notification for the killer. It will be silent and they won't see anything. This allows you to easily escape them when they usually would find you maybe. Next we have Distortion. Now Distortion is to stop you from being seen if you're working on a gen and you don't really want the killer to come over to you. Distortion stops perks like Barbecue and Chili from revealing your aura. Distortion activates when the killer would be shown your aura, but instead of being shown your aura, it takes a token out of Distortion and instead leaves you undetectable for about 8 seconds. Now as I said, this is really good for getting generators done, or if you just want to stay hidden because you don't want to be seen. If you're approaching to go for a save from a certain angle, it can be pretty helpful. Next we have Iron Will, because obviously we need Iron Will if we're going to be silent. This can really help for just getting around areas, especially if it's a map with a lot of corners and they're going to be relying on sound to track you down. It can be great to evade the killer quite easily. And finally, to go along with Distortion and the generator side of things, we have Technician. Now Technician reduces the audible range in which the killer can hear you when you're repairing a generator, meaning they have to get close to the generator to be able to hear that you're repairing it. It can also save you from failed skill checks, so if you miss a skill check there's a 50% chance it saves you and doesn't make a noise. Overall, this build is just really good for being silent, both on generators and when in chases or going for saves. All of these things are covered when using this build. Alright, that's it. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Please drop a comment. Tell me what build you use. Thanks, and goodbye.